What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. I'll get there one day. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of the people who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvault, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Felix Hung, Fireball X, Jeronism, Godrockin, Kirsten Smith, Life is Short, Matt, Michael, Page, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Renee, Sam Hine, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker, Tom Hurkins. Massive thank you to all of you who supported me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a whole bunch of people on both Discord and on G+, so a very warm welcome to you one and all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nathan.
Hello.
Good morning. Can I finish my thought, or are you going to start over?
I was going to run through a bit of housekeeping, but I know you're in the middle of something quite in-depth, so we'll dispose of housekeeping.
Well, that's okay. I mean, if you want to do the housekeeping when it gets to that relevant point, I could bring it up. So if you want to just go ahead and do it. No big deal.
It's all good. I mean, for the people watching this on the Sunday show, right, on Nathan Oakley 1980, I know we've got a live audience now on Nathan Oakley, but it's like they've not had any housekeeping because this is a brand new show. But for us, we've done a couple of pre-shows, a couple of after shows. I've cocked up the outro to the last one so they didn't get any after show. But nevertheless, I left it on a cliffhanger, right? Arwin asking a poignant question that needed an answer, and then I ended the recording. So there's no after show. It doesn't get answered. That's me being a terrible producer. I'm really sorry. Anyway.
You lost.
In other words, it's already a comedy of errors, Paul. So forget housekeeping for this show. Forget it.
Okay. I mean, just to kind of give a brief.
Are you telling me that you didn't call Bowden telling 10th man to piss off?
Oh, we got that all right. No, I don't know if we got that or not. I can't remember.
All right. Okay.
Right, we're hijacking Paul now. Sorry. Go ahead, Paul. You continue.
I was trying to get us back on track. I was giving a quick summary and then ranty. I said, basically, we've been talking about Coriolis effect on the last show, carrying over into this one. The problem that I think Zanuck and the Pepe lovers have actually discussed is that there's only a 1.5 mile an hour deviation, so to speak, from the equator moving northward. Now, this runs into a problem when it comes to hurricanes, if you think about it, because what typically is the speed of the rotation of the hurricanes typically? Does anyone know? Like what category 1, category 2, all the way up?
You're talking F1 is like maybe 200 plus miles per hour, right?
Oh, category 5, which is what hit, or is like over
150 miles an hour.
Are the tornadoes, not the hurricanes.
Sorry, two people spoke at once. Say again, QE.
You got the F series. I'm not a meteorologist, but I did sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night. The F series are tornadoes, whereas hurricanes are judged on a different scale or evaluated on a different scale.
Okay, I'll keep my mouth shut, Paul. You continue. Just tell us the speeds rather than asking and embarrassing me completely.
That's okay. I mean, roughly, though, just to give a rough estimate, we can look it up if you want to, if it becomes a sticking point. But a Category 5 has to be above, I think, 150 miles an hour. Do you see an initial problem right off the bat for that? Because if you got supposedly tangential change of speed of 1.5 miles an hour as you move up the equator, from the equator, but you got hurricanes that are reaching speeds up to 150 miles an hour. And if you want to oppose the law of conservation of momentum, anybody see any problems with this? How do you translate a 1.5 mile difference to 150 miles an hour?
Don't.
You don't. Right. So it's on the ballers again to try to explain how that occurs. So you go from 1.5 miles an hour change to 150 mile an hour change when it comes to hurricanes.
I missed the first part of this argument. So where are you getting the 1.5?
That's what Zanuck and other people said. The tangential change.
Hold on. QE's causing loads of feedback. Just keep yourself on mute when someone's replying because you're causing feedback, unfortunately.
Zanuck has made the argument and that there's a 1.5 mile an hour tangential speed change from the equator. And obviously the argument is saying that this tangential speed change creates the hurricane rotation. And I just wanted to say that did they see any problem where if that's the tangential speed issue or tangential speed is occurring, why do hurricanes reach up to 150 miles an hour? And if you're going to start using conservation of momentum in your equations, there's a problem.
I'm sorry, I'm still not following. What is causing the hurricane speed again?
No, you've not followed him. I'm not talking about it's starting with the tangential difference speed. Do you want to start there, Paul? Then go on to the hurricanes. These two things.
Yeah, remember the ballers will say there's a tangential speed change from the equator moving northward, right? You understand that, John?
Correct.
Okay. Now, they're saying that tangential speed, which is the Coriolis effect, so to speak, is what's causing the rotation of the hurricane.
Oh, goodness gracious. You've conflated a number of different idiotic topics together at once.
No, he hasn't. Well, Paul hasn't. He's conflating it on behalf of ballers.
I'm begging the question for the ballers, basically.
Yeah, that's a train wreck already. We'd have to peel all that apart. But go ahead. I don't want to stop you. Keep going.
Well, I'm just saying, how do they get from 1.5 mile an hour tangential speed change to 150 miles an hour on a rotation of the hurricane? That's that was my point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a little bit slow this morning.
That's okay. I don't know how to explain it the way I did. If somebody else can explain it better.
Yeah, let me give it a try. Let me give it a try. In his argument, John, he said that latitude going north from the equator or latitude going south from the equator, that's where the 1,038 miles per hour spin of the Earth lessens all the way to the poles. And he was saying that you don't notice anything until you're in that other latitude with a different speed. So I think what Paul is saying, oh, so a hurricane would have to have different speeds because it's already in several latitudes as it's spinning at 150 miles an hour. Is that what you're trying to say, Paul?
Well, no, not necessarily yet, but I mean, I guess in a way that would be true as well. They're saying that I'm trying to think how to explain it. I guess how do you get the latitude change speed, the tangential speed changes, if it's so minute over a small distance? How do you translate that into the speed of a hurricane is ultimately what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the problem is this is all bollocks to begin with. That's what the problem is. It's trying to peel away all the nonsense first to establish, the Earth is spinning. That's one big problem. And then the different tangential speeds of the Earth, not the atmosphere, the Earth, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you're back to the latitude argument, which is bullshit because that just regulates the speed. What is the cause? I won't even talk about latitude bullshit. Like, what is causing that? How do you leave? How do you even change the latitudes if you don't leave the first non-inertial reference frame? How do we even do that?
Well, and I'm trying to bridge the gap between the cause of the speed of the hurricane, and their so-called Coriolis.
Oh no, they've trapped you. No, that's where they've got you. So no.
But the hurricane is a real thing.
Yeah, you don't need to.
That's really low. I know you know, but you know.
They've got you off in the weeds talking about tangential differences in hurricanes when it's just been beautifully summarised by Chocolate. You start off with what's the first thing that's got to happen in this scenario? Well, the Earth's got to be spinning. Now, in their claim, with these effects, their claim is simple. Coriolis deviation. That's it. So what do you need to have that? Earth rotating underneath, things leaving the non-inertial spinning reference frame. That's it.
I immediately thought coming in on the conversation late. I'm sorry about that. I hate doing that. I hate when people do that and interrupt the conversation. So, yeah, my hypocrisy knows no bounds. I thought that Paul was trying to say since the hurricane was so massive or expansive that different tangential speeds that it should be having if the Earth or if the atmosphere is spinning with the Earth, it would tear apart the hurricane, right?
Well, that's another good point. So that's not the one I'm making, but that's another good point.
Well, thank you. I'm neck deep in bollocks. It's hard to navigate through, right? When you're talking the three constituent parts are pure bollocks, right?
I was just thinking. I mean, again, that's what we shouldn't do anyway. Is argue from their own paradigm and how it doesn't make sense even in their own paradigm. I guess we shouldn't do that.
Well, that's
and how
the
was
point
the conservation of momentum? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, you've said many times before, QE, don't argue within the fallacy, identify the fallacy and get down to the brass tacks of what has to be the cause.
I won't even argue if they don't understand the argument from jump. Yesterday, numerous times, Anik said the ball being thrown on the merry-go-round does not leave the non-inertial reference frame. Well, then you have no Coriolis after that. So I don't even think he understands his very argument at this point.
Are you there, Chocolate? Chocolate spot on.
Every time I talk, man. Every time I say something, I hear something in my headphones. I can't get a word in edgewise.
Sorry.
I'll just say alert, alert, alert every time. How about that? All right. Can I ask one question? I just got one question. I'll go on mute. Where does the conservation of momentum come into this story? Thanks.
Doesn't. It's a red herring that they use to distract away from the causes they should have if Earth is spinning. Those claimed causes being Earth spinning underneath an inertial reference frame, or to rephrase it correctly, the Coriolis deviation you should see upon having a projectile leave the spinning reference frame. So their claim is Coriolis effect, the retention of angular momentum, or Earth and atmosphere travelling as one entity, is simply a red herring distraction away from the claimed effect that should happen if Earth spun, because it doesn't happen and we don't observe it. So they try then to explain away how it does happen, but with the scenario of Earth still spinning and the angular momentum being retained from the projectile. Or as Zanuck put it, and Chocolate summarised it moments earlier, he explains it, the ball doesn't leave the non-inertial spinning reference frame. But when he explains that, he's not detailing Coriolis effect anymore. He's trying to explain angular momentum being retained, which isn't the claim that proves the spinning ball. The problem, and the reason they use this red herring, is because their claim is bunk. We do not observe this deviation. It's only ever claimed to take place in things with a very short hang time, when in reality, if it happened at all, the things with a long hang time, helicopters, drones and aeroplanes, hang gliders, whatever, things that stay up in the inertial reference frame for longer, would show this effect to a greater extent. And they don't show it at all. So the only examples are ever given with footballs in the air for a couple of seconds, bullets in the air for a couple of seconds, and that's it. And then when you are asked to justify why it doesn't do the same exact thing under an aeroplane, you get into an argument where they try and justify the retention of angular momentum, rather than the claim Coriolis effect they're trying to say proves their spinning. The deviation, that is. In the Coriolis effect, the thing that leaves the rotating platform deviates. The Earth that's spinning, that model claims to have a proof of its spinning by the very deviation of things leaving the platform. So you leave Earth that's supposed to be spinning, you see things deviate. Your helicopter or drone, you push up on the up stick, and what should happen if Earth's being proven to spin with Coriolis is it seems to drift away from you. You're only pushing up, but it's going away from you as well as up. Seeming to, it's only going up in reality. Well, that deviation doesn't ever happen. You can push up on your drone stick and it just goes up, but for the wind. So you haven't got any deviation proving Earth's spinning, ergo Earth's not spinning. But all they will ever do is try and justify why it's not deviating, rather than utilising the deviation we don't see to prove it is spinning.
What a cluster screw, right? And then throw conservation of momentum in. I just want them to pin down when they say conservation of momentum. Guys, if you hear somebody say that, pin down what they're exactly talking about. Because they just bring it up. It's a phrase. It's like vector. They think they're scientists or intellectuals if they say vector. It's the same thing with the conservation of momentum. Have them drill down. Make them do this when they say conservation of momentum. What specifically are they talking about? What momentum of what object is being conserved and where? Thanks.
What's your vector, Victor?
Go on, T.
Yeah, so the Coriolis effect, right? Okay, so earthbound Coriolis effect is supposed to be visualized, yes? Supposed to be a visualized effect.
Yeah, we're supposed to see it.
So tell me.
Yes.
So tell me, how can the things that they quote as being affected by earthbound Coriolis effect that travel at supersonic speeds, i.e. a bullet, right? How can you visualize a bullet and its apparent drift? How can you see it as the observer?
You don't, but that's why they utilise bullets and balls that only have a short hang time. So even if
it doesn't matter about the hang time. It's about the density of the object and the speed that it's travelling at. It has to be going faster than the Earth's rotation to break that, which means that it has to be travelling at a speed that nobody could visualise. So it's impossible to have earthbound Coriolis.
Well, no,
hang time's very important with the effect.
Yeah, wouldn't it be worse with something in the air in the inertial reference frame that's there longer?
Yes.
You would see more of a deviation.
Yes. Would you like an example?
Yes, and if it's motorized.
Yes. For example,
you can compute it easier.
So, for example, if you had a flight travelling from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, it's pretty much on the same line, so you're not deviating in your latitude. It's not going to affect with their claimed speed changes. But the flight time, in actuality, if you get on that flight, is about 4.5 hours. Now, if the Earth was rotating underneath, that flight time would be reduced, because Earth was rotating underneath towards the plane as it flew towards LA. And the flight time would be 1.5 hours. To have the claim deviation, the cause of the claim deviation, they say proves Earth spinning, is the Earth rotating under the bullet. So if it's rotating under a bullet, it's rotating under a plane, and the flight time would be reduced in duration. But it isn't. It's everything to do with hang time. The longer, as Chocolate says, you stay in the inertial reference frame, the more the rotation underneath occurs.
I was reading again over Kosho's citation, and I pulled out a different part of it, the definition part. I posted it in Master B. I don't know if you want to pull it up, if we can iron the line a couple of things in it. Somebody wants to pull it up.
Is it the Iron Republic? No, this isn't it. Maybe someone else, because I've got the wrong thing.
Yeah, I just posted it. It should be in there.
Okay, it's like a handwritten thing, yeah?
No. Oh, maybe. Hold on.
No, that was mine.
Somebody else put
Oh,
it up.
it didn't send. Hold on.
Okay. You want me to just stick this on screen, yeah? Okay, got it on screen.
Right. So, yeah, I just wanted to point out a couple things. Like, this is the problem that we're having, that they're not understanding. Right. So I'll read it out. Coriolis effect definition. Coriolis effect is an apparent effect, an illusion produced by a rotating frame of reference. This type of effect is also known as a fictitious force or an inertial force. The Coriolis effect occurs when an object moving along a straight path is viewed from the non-fixed frame of reference. Typically, this moving frame of reference is the Earth, which rotates at a fixed speed. When you view an object in the air, this is for Zanuck, following a straight path, the object will appear to lose its course because of the rotation of the Earth. So, numerous times it is stated that this effect is due to the rotating frame of reference, the rotating Earth. Has nothing to do with the change of latitudes, has nothing to do with that. So if you have no rotation of the Earth, you have no Coriolis effect.
Well, no, they're trying to will the Coriolis effect into existence. This is what I'm trying to say. When you Googled what is the Coriolis effect, they told you the Coriolis effect was to do with the Earth spinning, and it's nothing of the sort whatsoever. It's about a change in how you view something from a different reference frame as you're moving. It has nothing to do with Earth spin. It's like when they hijack the term extraterrestrials, right? They hijack the term extraterrestrials to make you think of aliens and space things, right? That's what they do. They change the meaning of stuff. So the Coriolis effect is nothing to do with Earth spin. Nothing whatsoever. It's how you view something in a different reference frame.
Correct. Nothing to do with Earth spin because Earth doesn't spin. And we know it doesn't because it doesn't create Coriolis deviation. If it did spin, we would have the Coriolis deviation. You'd have your shortened flight time because you'd be travelling towards a continent as it came to you, rotating underneath. That's what gives you the deviation, you rotating underneath. So the Earth's supposed to be rotating underneath bullets and balls and aeroplanes and drones and helicopters. But demonstrably it isn't. Those things that remain in the inertial reference frame for the longest period and would demonstrate the most deviation don't.
There's some ballers in chat who are debating me about Coriolis. So I want to read a couple of their comments, and I want anybody on the panel to say if they're correct or incorrect. Squatting Thunderbear, he says, if you are saying there are two categories of reference frames and that there are inertial and non-inertial, then you are right. But you never leave a reference frame. Is that correct or incorrect? Can you never leave the reference frame that you're on?
But it depends on the qualification. In order to see the deviation, you, the observer, remain on the non-inertial spinning reference frame. The projectile you will observe must leave the rotating reference frame for you to rotate underneath it and observe an apparent deviation. So the projectile must leave the spinning non-inertial reference frame. You as the observer of the apparent deviation, apparent because you're going to rotate and it's going to carry on in a straight line, You rotate underneath because the projectile has left the frame that you're spinning on. You remain on the frame that's spinning, the non-inertial reference frame, and the projectile leaves the non-inertial spinning reference frame, entering the inertial reference frame, and you observe the deviation because you rotate underneath.
Okay, so then he says, you do not need, same person, Squatting Thunder Bear, you do not need more than one reference frame to witness Coriolis. You can see the spin of a hurricane in one point of view. That doesn't need two reference frames. Coriolis still happens. There can be more than one, but it is not necessary. Correct or incorrect?
He is, what's the word? A retard. Coriolis is an apparent deviation, a not actual deviation, exampled by a drone and a roundabout. You put a little X on the roundabout and place your drone upon it. You then set the roundabout in motion and push up on your remote control. The drone leaves the X and goes up. It just goes up. Now the roundabout continues spinning underneath it. The X that it was on isn't any longer underneath the drone. It's spinning. Occasionally it comes underneath it and then it spins away and comes underneath it again. Now, the drone's just gone up. The deviation you're seeing is because the X, the thing that you're going to reference as the non-inertial spinning reference frame, rotates underneath it. So his assertion that you don't need to leave the frame is utter nonsense. His assertion that the storm is in any way an example of Coriolis effect is to say that the drone that you've pushed up on the stick and then let go, it's then hovering, is experiencing an actual deviation? No, it's pretty much stationary. It's static in air. It's just hovering, not moving from its position. The roundabout, however, that's moving underneath. And Coriolis on Earth is the Earth rotating underneath and you observing an apparent deflection because you rotate underneath, allegedly on a spinning Earth. Hurricanes are an actually deviating thing. Not you seeing a straight line of wind apparently deviate because you're rotating underneath. You, what was the word? Oh, retard! That's why they give their comments from the chat.
Hey, Chocolate, did you read further in that article?
Say that again?
Did you read further in the article? They screw the pooch when they talk about the next section, the causes of the Coriolis effect. They screw it. They screw it up, man.
Oh,
they lose it.
Yeah.
They start.
That's the one I
themselves.
originally had up. The causes, and then if you read further, there's the definition, there's the causes. This article completely screws them up, and he pulled it out purposely to prove that the cause of the Coriolis was the difference in latitudes.
No, that's what it says in this article.
That's what
they say. They contradict themselves down further in the article. This is a joke. I mean, their Coriolis effect definition is right on point. However, when you continue down in the article reading this, they contradict themselves a number of times. They talk about latitude, longitudes, and hurricanes.
Yeah, no, I know. Yep. And this was provided to us by Kosho himself, so.
Yeah, it not only illustrates our point, which is that the claim comes with an Earth rotating underneath aeroplanes, but it also double speaks. So it's an exemplification of their typical charge when it comes to putting claims forth. It will be a cited source with double speak when it's in reference to Earth. Coriolis, on the other hand, is extremely simple. Two reference frames, one is spinning under the other. That's it. It's really simple. But when they translate it into Earth-based Coriolis effect, you have a citation like Kosho provided, where it goes into great detail to explain Earth's supposed to be rotating underneath planes, helicopters, drones, to give you the deviation that is Coriolis deviation. The Coriolis force is that apparent force of it moving away from you, seeming like the drone is flying away, No, it's not. You're rotating away from it. That's why it's only an apparent force. But they'll have endless diatribe about how storms have got a relation, how latitude lines have got some relation to Earth spin, and we don't observe Earth spinning.
Did you read this definition slowly? It's one of the best Coriolis definitions I've seen, to be perfectly honest with you. It's the one that Chocolate read out. It's really good.
Yep. That's why I was kind of stunned when he provided this. I was like, this is kind of claiming our point, but all right, thanks.
Yeah, but what he was doing was concentrating on the article below. As latitude increases, the speed of the Earth's rotation decreases, the Coriolis effect increases. No.
Right. That's just the speed increase. That's not the cause of the actual effect. That's just the second hand. That's just, if the speed is more or less, that's fine. But what caused that in the first place is the point.
Yes, correct, Chocolate. To have the effect in the first instance, and this was always QE's argument, it's about the causes of the Coriolis effect. Our argument isn't about what Coriolis effect is or how it's claimed to be in effect. What is the claimed cause to give you that effect? Let's not argue about the effect because we're not seeing the effect. And they argue about the non-seeing of the effect they're claiming is there. So we want to focus on what would happen if they had the cause. The cause is the thing they're trying to prove. So they're trying to prove Earth spins, claimed cause of Coriolis effect, Earth spinning underneath. And then you end up arguing about how the two spinners won. That's how this argument rolls. It's just only in recent days or recent weeks that we've concisely summarised how the argument is presented, how Coriolis works, and how to unpack their doublespeak. Most of their doublespeak being about how they don't have Coriolis effect, the very thing that they need to prove it's spinning. They need the deviation. They need a hovering helicopter to deviate away from you, or a continent to come to it as it hovers. That doesn't happen. That's a big problem if you're claiming that effect is the effect that proves they're spinning.
Yeah, the causes of the Coriolis effect in this article, right? The first paragraph is correct. So, causes of the Coriolis effect. The main cause of the Coriolis effect is the Earth's rotation. As the Earth spins in a counterclockwise direction on its axis, anything flying or flowing over a long distance above its surface is deflected. That's a problem. This occurs because as something moves freely above the Earth's surface, the Earth moves east under the object at a faster speed. This is a little ambiguous. I would say this is just above. They said it's an apparent deflection, and then they talk about it is deflected. So they're contradicting themselves right there, and they're also contradicting themselves with hurricanes, because, like you said, hurricanes are actual spin directions, whereas the Coriolis effect is an apparent deflection. So there's some contradictions here. I can see why Kosho posted this reference. He just didn't read the important parts. I can see where he grabbed it though, because they talk about latitude and longitude. I mean latitude lines here. I can see why he posted this, but he failed to understand the underlying causes. You guys following me with this?
Yeah, he needs the Earth to be spinning.
Oh, I call them on it from jump.
Why do ballers even bring this up as evidence if there's?
This is a very important point. This is a crucial point. Next to gas pressure without a container, this is crucial. They need this. And none of them understand it.
Some people don't understand why I get so cross about this, and it's because they do need this. That's why you've got people like George Netting fully on the case with this, them all bracing against it, making it the topic of discussion, ridiculing us more than ever when we talk about it and demolish it, because they need this. Coriolis effect is the claimed proof of spinning Earth. Yeah? again, I did this last time, a shout out to Bob Nodell and the ruckus it caused with Behind the Curve, or whatever it was called. That highlighted a claim to be proof of spinning Earth utilising Coriolis effect by way of optical gyro. Well, that utilisation of this effect is what leads us to the point where we go, okay, what is Coriolis? Well, it's the apparent deviation. What's claimed to happen on Earth to give it you? Earth spinning underneath a bullet, a drone, a football when it's kicked. Whatever is in the inertial reference frame having left the spinning Earth. That deviation is claimed to be the proof. We don't observe that deviation. It's a glaring error. So they need 10 layers of bullshit on top of it. They need to pull it away from the non-effect we're not seeing on Earth. It's not happening in reality. And take it to how it does happen with the Earth and atmosphere travelling as one. And get away from Coriolis effect quickly in obfuscation. So we've now unpacked that concisely. And anybody listening for the last week or so is going to go, oh, right, well, whenever they talk about it not deviating, that's supposed to be the proof. That's where you've won. Now, we still have it. Yesterday, we had a guy who was like, well, at the point that he was explaining his explanation that it doesn't deviate, he's like, how does that compare to a flat Earth? A guy in Discord. I'm like, you don't need to at that point. You don't need to make a juxtaposition between how it doesn't or does work on some reified model. The claim to be proof of a spinning Earth is the apparent deviation as Earth rotates underneath an object that's left the spinning Earth. That, albeit a bullet, or a ball, or a helicopter that isn't deviating, damn, that proves it isn't spinning, or a plane that doesn't take an hour and a half when going from Charlotte to LA, damn, that proves it isn't spinning, because the whole point is that this effect's generated by Earth spinning, and if you don't see the effect, it isn't spinning. So bye-bye spinning Earth.
Turn out the lights, your party's over.
They say that all good things... Yeah, it's game over, Globers. They need Coriolis, and they need the obfuscation. They need the 10 layers of bullshit. They need the ridicule that goes along with it. They need to force people like Brian Mullen out of his job and get him away from this subject quick smart when he's got a whiteboard just like George's and can very concisely and simply explain how flight times would be reduced if Earth was spinning underneath. Get that man out of his job quick, because we need this doublespeak. We need Coriolis. The doublespeak of Coriolis and its alleged effect that can easily be demonstrated on a roundabout with a ball can then be obfuscated to all hell with angular retention of momentum being applied without Coriolis effect. We need this shit because we've claimed our religion has a spinning Earth. So don't let anybody prove beyond doubt it doesn't, because we don't have the effect that's claimed to prove it does. We don't see any deviation. Earth's not spinning, folks. If anybody was watching this prior to now and thought, oh, Coriolis proves it, Foucault pendulum and gyros, they all prove Earth spinning. No, we don't have any Coriolis effect. Earth is not spinning underneath. And that's how this concise argument came about. If the Earth is spinning underneath a gyro at 15 degrees an hour, then it's spinning underneath a plane at 15 degrees an hour, and your flight time would be reduced from 4.5 to 1.5 hours when flying from Charlotte to LA. If it rotates underneath, it rotates underneath. Anything that leaves that spinning frame, it just doesn't. Earth's not spinning. Earth's stationary. It's blatantly obvious to anybody with a set of ears. We're not moving, folks. You'd know if we were.
It's obvious to people with a set of eyes and their senses. It's like that story with the emperor with no clothes. The parade, everyone's clapping, and the little kid who's not afraid of anyone's opinion says, hey, the emperor has no clothes. Oh, gas, right?
If the Earth doesn't spin, flat Earth wins.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential to the heliocentric model. But you've been saying this for about 2 years.
I'm gonna have to bring this up on Ballbusters, man. This has got to be added.
I was going to say, this isn't anything new. You've been saying this for 2 years, to my memory, how important the Coriolis proof... It's on the Flat Earth proofs in the link below this video and below all of QE's videos and below all of the videos on Nathan Oakley 1980 if you're watching this on that channel. They've all got Flat Earth proofs videos. And in those proofs, Coriolis is used as a flat Earth proof. Now, hopefully, people who've watched it and gone, I don't understand. I want proof of a flat plane. It's like, this does prove it. That model is absolutely hinged around the Earth spinning.
Yeah, we did a 3-week Ballbusters episode concentrating just on Coriolis effect. So, I don't know, maybe another 6 weeks.
Getting better each time, though. Each time it happens, I feel like there's a layer of obfuscation. Not bullshit. The bullshit remains the same, which is good, because they panic. It's been nice the last couple of times Anik's been on, because he's absolutely shit his pants. Because he doesn't know what to do, he doesn't know where to go, he has to keep asserting the ball doesn't leave the reference frame. Well, you're not talking about Coriolis effect then. What are you trying to explain it as? Oh, angular momentum. That's not Coriolis. But you're going to argue about it all day long, aren't you, to obfuscate the fact you don't have it on an Earth that's not spinning? Because if it was, we'd see deviation. Coriolis effect. And we don't. So let's argue all day long about the retention of angular momentum and Earth still spinning, but with Earth spinning, atmosphere spinning with it, or the spin of the Earth being kept when it leaves. No Coriolis. So you just have to smash them over the heads and say, well, you need a deviation. Show me the deviation in the plane that's not taking 1.5 hours.
Well,
he thinks two reference frames can be in the same place at the same time.
What was he talking about with, you said retention of angular momentum or conservation of momentum, correct? Is that what you're talking about?
Of momentum. My bad.
No, that's okay. What was he talking about with the conservation of momentum? I mean, which object and where was it?
Ball leaving a roundabout and remaining in the non-inertial spinning reference frame when thrown.
It remains in the non-inertial?
According to Zanuck.
That's insane. That has...
he was claiming that you could have two reference frames in the same place at the same time.
You have extracted that. He double-speaked both reference frames into one reference frame to be more accurate.
But didn't the other day he told us that the inertial reference frame was in space? Am I mistaken?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, he changed the very next day and said it's the next latitude over.
So it's in space and it's the next latitude over.
Yeah, because the Earth is spinning less as you go north or south from the equator. So that's the only time you're going to see Coriolis is if it gets into that next latitude, because other than that, it's the conservation of momentum, keeping it in the non-inertial.
Wait a second. The conservation, you did it again. What's conserving momentum?
The projectile, I believe, in their example.
So I'm just trying to get their argument straight. So the object that is in the inertial frame of reference keeps or conserves the momentum from the non-inertial reference frame that it left?
No, he never describes it that way, but that's correct. He's saying precisely that. But that's a contradiction. What you've just said is a very concise contradiction in terms. But that isn't what they say. But yes, that is what they say. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you. They just don't come out and say it the way I said it, right?
Correct.
They beat around the bush and get you confused. Yeah, that's why I said pinpoint them that when as soon as you hear conservation of momentum, stop them in their tracks and drill down on that topic, and they'll have to compromise themselves after they rumpus it. Keep on asking it. Don't let it go. Thanks.
Come on.
If you want a concise idea about what these globetards want to talk about Coriolis, well, just watch the presentations that George has put together in the Rumpus on my channel. You'll see specifically they've had approximately between them about 8 hours of Coriolis talk. So you get everything you need to know about how the globe feels, about how the Coriolis, earthbound Coriolis works with the Earth. You need to check it out, and they will tell you.
8 hours. I bet every single person on this panel could summarize Coriolis effect probably in about 2 sentences or 3 sentences max.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm going to go live tonight talking specifically about that, so don't hijack.
Hey, Zanuck, I know you're listening. Why don't you come on right now while QE is here and explain what you told us last week?
Hold on, he's not here yet. He's still probably sleeping or doing his morning stuff.
Make sure you remind him about the 5-point palm globe-tart exploding fairy tale religion technique.
So, during a chat, George Netting was laying out his terms for you to Ranty, and I was trying to, by proxy, do what I normally do to whoever else comes along to me, with you being here on an open platform, door open, feel free to join. If you want to challenge us, yeah, you can. So that was the situation with Netanyahu, but him challenging you. And I was like, yeah, we've got terms too. I want your dog. I'm going to eat it. Something totally absurd that he's never going to agree to. Although I look back at it afterwards, I'm like, someone might read that as, rather than being so farcical, it's absurd, that I do actually want to eat his dog, which I don't, just for clarity. But nonetheless, I just put down some absolutely absurd terms to say, you're all right. So for us to be in a position that you can challenge us, you want your terms met. Oh, right, rhetoric. George Netting. Fallacy guy. Yeah, they're all the bloody same. You want to challenge us, do you? There's a door. Come in and challenge us. Oh, what's that? You say you want your terms for you to challenge us. Couldn't give a shit. Don't care. Not interested. You can challenge us if you want to. The door is open.
Okay, hold on. Who did he challenge?
You. He's like, I want him to come to blah, blah, blah. I think it was some scummy, dirty platform like Ranty Flat Earth or something. Anyway, that's not the point.
So, wait a second. George challenged me officially?
Yes. In fact, he's put a summons out for you to appear in my court. So that he can grill you, and you have to sit there in the dock and take questions from him, and I have to answer him.
Really? He did. Hey, Nathan, 1 second. Did you get any feedback from me and Ranty?
No, not from you in Skype. Just whenever somebody talks in Hangouts for some reason. I don't know, but Skype's certainly perfect now.
So now it's Hangouts and not Skype. Jeez, oh man.
But it's only periodically. So like now, between you and I, there's a bit of feedback.
All right, back to the issue. George, Mr. Closed Thermos is an open system wants to grill somebody? What, an incoherent third grader? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Tiger Woods, when he's on the 18th at the Masters, and Elmer Fudd, he's out there in the gallery, and he's heckling Tiger. Tiger never even looks over, right? What do you want me to do?
I've already summarized it. If he wants to challenge you, he can. Right?
Sure. I don't know why on the Coriolis effect he's already been toe tagged on this. I already sent you the toe tag, Ranty. Did you watch it? You were on it.
I did. I watched it.
Hey, I'd like you to peel out your comments to George and quote them here for us, please. Go ahead, do that right now.
I'm at work, mate.
That's a bit unreasonable.
I ain't got access to PC.
He's not going to get the transcription in a pinch, is he now?
Say again?
He's not going to get the transcription at a pinch and verbatim quote himself from 3 months ago.
I know one that he said, Ranty said,
oh, here we go.
You're retarded.
Yes, demonstrably. Not actionable. Because George has threatened me, by the way, in one of those chats. Watch your words, Nathan. I'll be very careful with my words, George. Netanyahu is demonstrably senile by the words he uses.
In between the laughter, that you were, it was cracking me up when you were laughing, Ranty, by the way. I heard a couple retards, definitely.
He's gone quiet.
Maybe you should run that.
I wouldn't worry. Ranty's opinion generally, I'll speak for him because he's gone quiet, is that he doesn't owe anybody anything. They want to come on, they can. My attitude's identical, Ranty. Hopefully you'll echo it.
Indeed. But you have been summoned, though. You have been summoned to my court, so I'm issuing it right now. So you can either come or you can refuse. It's up to you.
I'll kick him in the spheres.
Okay, I'll pass the message on.
Hey, Anon, by the way, good to have you.
Say again?
Saying hello to Anon.
Hey, Anon, what's up, man?
Hey, man, what's going on?
What's going on? You been busy lately?
I actually have.
I figured you haven't been on all that much. I won't jump on you. Go ahead. You could stay here without being jumped on.
Yeah, I've been trying to re-up on my studying to get a new job, so.
Oh, cool. That's higher priority. Fair enough.
Yeah, I still listen to you guys on the way to work.
So are you going from picking up cans alongside of the road to challenging for the supervisor position?
Yeah, yep, that's the one.
Just messing with you.
After this is done, we might do some technical stuff to see if we can figure out why you're causing feedback. I think it's just going to be a case of you. I know you've watched it several times, but the very first video I sent you on this subject, go through it and make sure all of the ancillary programs are set the way they should. I did it with Skype. Do you remember when I was setting the input and output on Skype? It needs to be done for the computer itself and Discord for you. But yeah, those processes I don't think have been done correctly. So I'd suggest referring to the original video and just paying more attention to that particular section where he goes through Discord and Skype. I've already done Skype though.
No, you didn't, and he didn't in that original video. He doesn't go into that. So let's just spend about 10 minutes after the show. I think we can fix it very easily.
Okay, hopefully so. Have a sneak peek of what I've got. I've been watching my tech videos. Shout out to a YouTuber called TechMoan, British guy that looks at sort of tech stuff, as you'd imagine. Anyway, he's got a thing for like sound bars and oscilloscopes and things. So I found a little program. You get a sneak peek if you're watching this live. So this is what Ballbusters will look like on Saturday. If I can find the minimize button for the Hangout. Just give me a second. Okay. So that's what it'll look like. My little oscilloscope. Check it out on the live feed if you want, John. That's what it's going to be looking like.
Oh, you can't share it on Skype?
I can't share it on Skype, but if you tune into the live feed, just make sure you mute it. You can see what it looks like. I'll only have it for a few seconds, but feel free to chat if you're in the Discord server or Hangouts, just so you can see what it looks like when your voice is oscilloscoped. Or don't. I love it. A request for somebody to produce something audio so it's visually interesting. And what do I get? A flat green line. Wonderful.
What do you need?
A conversation. I think I've done enough. It's wonderful. You can always rely on my Hangout.
Did you get another speaker advertisement last time?
To get a what, Arwen?
Advertisement for that speaker company you worked for, right?
Didn't work for them. Work with them. B&W. Yeah, right. I've got a set of their speakers, or whole surround sound set of their speakers, and I tuned into Arwin's early bird. Shout out to Arwin channel, ARWIJN. Subscribe today. And on his early bird channel that goes out daily at 1 PM UK time, I tuned in, and there was an advert for a speaker manufacturer that I used to work with and have their equipment in right in front of me right now. And I was like, wow, cool. Obviously, ads are specific to users. I'll say this straight away because I don't want anybody in the comments pointing this out. I already know. Ads are specific to you. So if you tune in and then you go into the chat and go, wow, I just had a Chris Hatfield advert for Masterclass and NASA, it's like, yeah, that's specific to you because you're watching Flat Earth videos and you need propagandizing. But me, I need to be told I need a new set of speakers, apparently, because presumably I've been talking about my equipment being maintained recently, but it's specific. You know, they've got your microphone open and listening to what you're saying. These algorithms have been in all of your operating systems since probably 2005, 2006, around about the time Windows 7 came out. They put all the hooks in for the camera, your mic. They just didn't tell you. You know, the Ferrari we've had recently with people moaning about it because it's overtly stated in Windows 10 doesn't mean it wasn't there before. You've just been told about it with a little tick box that you can disable, in air quotes. Anyway.
Yep. They're listening.
Yeah, they're listening, and then they're advertising to you. In my case, speakers.
But it's everywhere. Like, I really noticed that, well, with me, there must be mics everywhere because there's a lot of attention being paid to what I'm doing with, or like even what I'm listening to. And then at the next opportunity, some kind of ad pops up which can be anywhere on YouTube or anything. It'll just reflect back right away on the thing I just was confronted with. So it's almost annoying. Like, yeah, I know, I guess you heard. Like this sister that just refuses to stay out of your business. You know, it's kind of like that.
Just before Ranty story tops you, just go and watch Minority Report again with your newfound flat Earth knowledge, and Minority Report will take a whole different meaning, just like 9A4. Go on now. Go on, Ranty.
Tell more.
Yeah, I can beat that. So I got my new phone around about 2 months ago, right? So I've had this new phone for 2 months. I just had a message on Facebook to go and price a job up, right? So I'd put, I'd responded that I would turn up at a certain time. So I checked it on Google Earth before I set off where the address was. I set off. I got lost. So I opened up in my phone the app, to find directions, route planner or whatever it's called, right? So I put it in and it says, where do you want to go? So I put the first letter of this cul-de-sac, right? A random cul-de-sac beginning with C. And then the rest of it came up as the first thing to find. And it turned out I was over 2 miles away from this place. And there was probably around about, 10 or 15 other C streets between me and it. There's no way that's a coincidence. There is no way, because the message was a private message on Facebook to me in my business chat, and obviously the first suggestion was this street, and I couldn't believe it. I immediately knew that wasn't random. It was a random. There's only like 12 houses in this cul-de-sac, right? It's the most random street you could ever think of, and yet it was the first choice.
I think the mistake you made there was a programming magical word called private, formerly instant messaging, now private messaging, you say? No, just an illusion. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. I'll try not to actually end the recording, and you will get an after show this time, I promise. Of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live show possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. As I say, stay watching if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!